Major and significant resignations from the Justice Department spanning the headquarters in Washington and New York, a key office that you might recall has been in the news a lot whenever Donald Trump has come near the presidency. So we're going to go through it. You may have heard some aspects of this, and we actually have more news here just late in the day. So within the last few moments, we have gotten new developments. The baseline story is 3 more senior officials in the Justice Department's Public Integrity Section, which is famed for its nonpartisanship and dealing with sensitive and difficult cases, prosecuting potentially officials and party members from Republican to Democrat without fear or favor. These new officials from that section, which I'm telling you is important, resigned following a meeting with the acting Deputy Attorney General dealing in the New York City mayor case. That's according to sources who've spoken with NBC News. That's late in the day and brings the total up now to 6 resignations here today. It began late today when the acting head of the Southern District of New York resigned. That's that SDNY office that you've heard about before. It's been a flashpoint for Donald Trump even before he ever became president the first time. This resignation came just days after an unusual and, according to many sources, improper interference from headquarters at Trump DOJ now to drop or basically back off what was a corruption case against the sitting New York mayor, Eric Adams. So Danielle R. Sassoon resigned in a letter sent to the new Attorney General under Donald Trump, Pam Bondi. Now, she has been a Republican. She is a respected lawyer. You can see her there in New York. And she once clerked for one of the more conservative members on the Supreme Court in the last several decades, the late Justice Antonin Scalia. She also drew headlines for all kinds of cases that have nothing to do with politics and shouldn't, prosecuting Sam Bankman-Fried's multi-billion-dollar crypto fraud. After her resignation, the Trump DOJ moved this case against the New York mayor over to Washington's Public Integrity Unit. And if it continued there, that might be normal or okay. But that then led to another bombshell, raising questions about whether it was moved for this purpose or only to get headquarters in Washington and the new Trump people to have more control. Because top officials there also resigned. Here's how the Times puts it. The resignations represent the most high-profile public resistance so far to President Trump's tightening control over the Justice Department.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Yeah, that clip was a little disturbing. We're going to get a little bit more into it though. A quote from now the 7th. Ari Melber was talking about the 6th before we went to recording tonight. The 7th from the Southern District of New York has resigned and has made a statement that reads, "The DOJ will need a fool or a coward to toss Eric Adams' case." Yeah, 7 career lawyers. We're talking people who not only went to high school, to college, to law school, and also took the bar in New York State, the toughest bar exam in the United States. And they have resigned after spending a decade or so in their career as the resistance to number 47 and his crew. Think about that for a second. Think about where you are right now. What career are you in? Are you willing to give it up? Are you willing to walk away for a moral commitment? They just did. And the word for that is resistance, and that's going to be what we're going to talk about tonight. As you might well imagine, I look at a lot of resistance channels. I consider my own resistance and what I do in my everyday life and what I do here on the podcast. I'm not just up against number 47 because he's a Republican. I'm up against number 47 because he's a fascist wannabe dictator that wants to take away the freedoms that I expect to finish my life off with, that my son will finish his life off with, and my grandson and my now great-grandson. Why should they give up anything for him? Now, lately I've been talking with a gentleman out in Colorado, and I'm going to put a little clip in here so you can see his channel, and I've been talking to him about the resistance. And I also happened to contact one of my representatives here in New York State. I'm not going to say which one it was because I don't want to pinpoint the district I live in. There's enough of you people out there that are already sending me love letters from the far right. But I had a chance to contact my representative today and ask him about something that came out in the Axios newsletter just recently. I'm going to put a clip up here so you can see that. I'm going to run it in a B-roll. I'm going to let you read it. But basically, out of Axios, there was a comment made that some Democrats see the callers as barking up the wrong tree, giving their limited power as a minority party in Congress. Quote unquote, it's been a constant theme of us saying, please call the Republicans, said Representative Beyer. Another quote, people are told, call your congressman. They're not told, call your congressman. He's an ally. So they call and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? Latimer tells Axios. Then Senator Richie Torres out of New York, he's down in the New York City area, came out with probably the worst comment he could have possibly made. And it says, I reject and resent the implication that the congressional Democrats are simply standing by passively. Really? I'm sorry you resent us calling on you to do your job. As I recall, the financial figure was $174,000 a year for a first-year representative and congressperson. I'm sorry that you have to work 6 months out of the year to earn that money. Mr. Torres, you know how to contact me. Leave me a message right here. I'd love to discuss your rejection and resentment of the implication. It's getting to the point where the coffee clutch that I talk about, for those that follow the channel, has gotten into the discussions of the mainstream media hiding most of everything. The few people that are aware of it have gone, and shrugged their shoulders and given up and said, we don't know what to do. And my lifelong friend has said, well, maybe we need to get back out and do it. My wife has said to me, if there's a march in Washington, we should go. Trust me, we will. And we will take this podcast to Washington and do a live from the march if there's enough of one we can get going out there. Again, the word resistance. Mr. Trump, number 47, is trying to take down the entire judicial system one level at a time and installing his own lackeys. That's what he started with the Supreme Court, but he found out it didn't work just going to the top. He had to go to the federal level. He had to go to the DOJ. He's done that. There's people out there right now, the Midwest farmers, and you can find 1,000 clips on YouTube, and I beg you to do it. Teachers in the Midwest and in the red states, in the southern area in particular, I saw a couple of clips, farmers in the Midwest going, this isn't what we voted for. We didn't vote for a tariff war. We didn't vote for our crops to sit in the fields. The teachers saying we didn't vote to have the education department folded up. We didn't fight and didn't vote to have U.S. aid canceled. That there was a comment from Elon that we spent $1 billion or something like that feeding the poor and the needy around the world. How do you think we got the food? Where do you think we got the food from, Elon? The farmers in the Midwest were growing the crops. The government was buying it from them and giving it to the third world. Those were farmers out in the Midwest, the base of our entire economy, still to this day, and you just canceled all the projects on it. The word is resistance. It's to the point now where people just don't want to deal with it. And I'll tell you why. I've been telling you for a while to keep your eye on the ball. But Donald and Elon, during a White House conference, happened to say something that caught my eye. And I don't have the clip here. If I can find it, I will overlay it on a B-roll here. But the comment was to flood the zone. Now, to flood the zone, anybody knows that what you're doing is you're causing chaos. You're distracting from the main focus point by flooding the zone. Like flooding the swamp. He wants to refill it. Flooding the zone is putting out information about Greenland, about Denmark, about Mexico, about the Panama Canal, about Canada, about the European Union, about Ukraine, about Russia, you get the point? He fills the zone, and you can't pick out what you want to focus on. And that's what he wants, so that he and Elon and the rest of his clowns can do something in the background. Again, I'm going to tell you, the word is resistance, and keep your eye on the ball. It really needs to be done. There's no reason that we shouldn't be angry. There's no reason that we shouldn't be upset. There's no reason that we shouldn't question what Elon's doing. We didn't want Analytica and we didn't want Cambridge We didn't want the Chinese with TikTok, not Tic Tac as the president calls it, TikTok. We didn't want them getting into our records. We didn't want them finding out what we had to hide in the background. We didn't want our private, personal information put out there. But damn, Elon boy's got it, and so do a bunch of his little 21-year-old kids. And if you believe Elon and his little boys for just 1 minute, that you think that they're not looking at it, they're not making copies, and they're not using it, the lead guy that hacked it was fired from the last company he was at because he shared confidential information. Yeah, those are the people we're not supposed to be upset about. Well, the word again is resistance. The word again is we are not who we used to be. I don't want to carry this on. I don't want to upset too many people. I'm going to run a little clip in here. I want you to think about what happens in this next clip. I want you to listen. It's not the venting that the person does. It's the point they are trying to make.
What about the people? Why is America
not the greatest country in the world, Professor? That's my answer.
You're saying
Yes.
Let's talk about
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of our paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey.
And with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite? Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy.
Yeah. The first time I heard that clip, it kind of pissed me off. And then I got to looking at it and started digging into it and started digging in deeper and got away from the superficial, what makes America great? And I started listening to the facts that Jeff Daniels spoke about. I started doing some digging, and then I saw a clip of him after he had done that movie, and he had that rant in there, and he said that he had looked up the details and already knew most of it. And I really want you to think about that clip. I really want you to think about the words resistance. I want you to think about what it's going to take to not just slow him down, but to stop him and back up the vicious corruption that he is pushing on us, the Americans. With that, I'm going to thank you all for being here. My subscribers, again, my friends in Canada, again, my friends around the world, I hear what you're saying. A bunch of my right friends that are still writing to me, thank you for writing to me. I'll continue to carry on our discussions, our discourse. I think it's worthy. A couple of us have already kind of come to terms. But with that, folks, I'm going to thank you and wish you a wonderful evening. Good night.